Start with four people: Robert, Karen, Marcus, and Zoe, each from a different generation, each with their own story. Robert is 68, a hard worker who bought a home in the suburbs and raised a family. Karen, 52, has a solid marketing career, two kids, and enjoys annual holidays. Marcus, 38, paid off student loans and spends weekends at brunch. Zoe, 24, is financially savvy with a side hustle and an investment account. Four people, 4 decades, and four unique financial realities. But as we'll see, they all share one critical mistake. Despite their differences, Robert, Karen, Marcus, and Zoe all fell into the same financial trap. It's not about being bad with money. In fact, most people who fall into it are careful and thoughtful with their finances. They budget, they plan, and they try to make smart choices. But this trap is sneakier. It's shaped by the world around us, by what our culture tells us success should look like. We absorb these ideas without even realizing it, and they shape our financial decisions in ways we rarely question. At some point, every generation is handed a definition of what it means to be successful. Maybe it's a certain kind of home, a lifestyle, or experiences that signal you've made it. These unwritten rules seep in from family, friends, and the culture around us. When we can finally afford that version of success, it feels like the natural next step. It doesn't feel reckless or greedy. It feels responsible, like progress. But often we don't realize we're following rules that no one ever questioned. These rules are invisible but powerful. They're not written down, but everyone seems to know them. They guide our choices about what to buy, where to live, and how to spend. And because everyone around us is following them too, they never feel wrong. In fact, they feel like the responsible thing to do. But sometimes these rules lead us into traps that are hard to see from the inside. Let's look at how each generation's story reveals the moment these unwritten rules showed up. Robert grew up watching his parents rent their whole lives. In the post-war era, owning a home was the ultimate sign of success. It meant stability, status, and achieving the American dream. So when Robert got his first good job and qualified for a mortgage, he bought a house. That was the move everyone made. In the 1980s, it made sense. Property values were rising, and owning a home was a smart investment. On paper, Robert became wealthy as his house value soared. Here, where it gets complicated for Robert, most of his wealth is tied up in his house. He doesn't have the pension he expected, and his savings aren't enough for a comfortable retirement. Selling the house would mean leaving the neighborhood he's lived in for decades. The house itself wasn't the trap, the belief that the house was the whole plan was. Robert spent years maintaining the image of wealth, but the foundation underneath had gaps. Ren's trap was quieter and more subtle. Gen X came of age during the rise of dual-income households. They believed they could do better than their parents, earn more, have more, and they did. Every time Karen got a raise, her life expanded to match it. She upgraded her car, moved to a bigger house, and added holidays. Each decision made sense at the time, but her expenses grew as fast as her income, leaving her savings rate almost unchanged. This phenomenon is called lifestyle creep. Karen looked financially successful, she had assets and equity, but as she approached retirement, the math was tighter than it should have been for someone who'd earned well for decades. The arrival signal for Gen X was a life that looked like success, nice things, nice experiences, and a lifestyle that matched their income. But the cost was that her savings never really grew. Now let's talk about Marcus and the millennial generation. The 2008 financial crisis hit millennials hard, wiping out early career opportunities. When traditional signals of arrival like owning a home or building equity became out of reach, millennials shifted their focus. They spent on experiences, travel, restaurants, concerts, and convenience. The culture encouraged this, telling them that experiences were the real wealth. Marcus built a life full of memories, but little in the way of assets. Marcus, the trap was spending on experiences. It was using experiences as a substitute for building assets. The culture marketed this approach as wisdom, convincing millennials that living fully was more important than saving. By 38, Marcus had few investments, no property, and a lingering anxiety about the future. The arrival signal for millennials became the live life, the full passport, the story. But it was still just a costume, a different version of the same trap. Though he represents Gen Z, the most financially literate generation yet. She grew up watching finance content online, knows about index funds, and talks about compound interest. You'd think Gen Z would escape the trap entirely, but their version is the most visible yet. It lives online. For Gen Z, the arrival signal isn't a house or lifestyle, but an aesthetic, the right look, the tech setup, and the apartment that photographs well for social media. Gen Z's trap isn't ignorance, it's performance. Zoe invests, but she also spends more on things that look good online than she puts into her investments. The trap is performing wealth rather than building it, posting about investing while the actual numbers stay small, talking about financial freedom while spending habits quietly contradict it. Zoe is ahead of where Marcus was at her age, but the trap is still there, just wearing a new costume. But what do all these stories have in common? It's the same financial trap, just wearing different outfits for each generation. For Robert, it was the house. For Karen, it was lifestyle upgrades. For Marcus, it was experiences. For Zoe, it's the online aesthetic. The details change, but the underlying pattern is the same, prioritizing the appearance of arrival over the substance of real wealth. Here's the good news: people do escape the trap. In every generation, some people see the pattern and step around it. What do they do differently? They separate the signal from the substance. They decide consciously to look less wealthy than they actually are so their real wealth can grow faster. They delay the costume, drive the older car, stay in the smaller house, skip a few trips, and resist the urge to upgrade for appearances. For Robert, escaping the trap would have meant keeping the house but also aggressively funding his pension. Not putting everything into one asset, diversifying his wealth so that he wasn't house rich but cash poor. It's about balancing the arrival signal with the substance underneath, making sure the foundation is solid, not just the appearance. Ren's version of escaping the trap would be to pick just one lifestyle upgrade per raise and bank the other half, letting her income growth outpace her lifestyle growth. This way, she could enjoy some of the rewards of her hard work but also build real wealth for the future. It's a conscious choice to prioritize savings and investments over constant lifestyle inflation. For Marcus, the escape plan would be to limit big trips to one per year and put the difference into an index fund every month. This way, he could still enjoy life and make memories but also build assets for the future. It's about finding balance, enjoying experiences without letting them replace the foundation of real wealth. Zoe still has time to change course. Her escape plan is to make investing the thing she celebrates, not just the aesthetic, to focus on building the actual numbers, not just the look of wealth. By putting more into investments and less into online performance, she can set herself up for real financial freedom. The rule, if you want one, is simple: assets first, lifestyle second. Not forever, just until your assets are working hard enough to pay for your lifestyle. This is the move every generation that got it right figured out. It's not about deprivation but about timing and priorities. Build the foundation first, then enjoy the rewards. It's important to remember, Robert, Karen, Marcus, and Zoe aren't bad with money. They're not foolish or irresponsible. They just did what their generation told them arrival looked like. They prioritized looking like they'd made it over actually being there. It's a common mistake and it's easy to fall into because it feels so normal. First step out of any trap is being able to name it. Is your wealth tied up in a house? Has your lifestyle grown with every pay rise? Are you spending on experiences instead of building assets? Or are you performing wealth online rather than creating it? Recognizing your version of the trap is the key to escaping it. Once you see the trap, you can start to make different choices. Awareness is powerful. It lets you question the unwritten rules and decide for yourself what success really means. You can choose to build substance over signal, to invest in your future rather than just your image. That's how you break the cycle every generation repeats. Breaking the cycle isn't about rejecting everything your generation values. It's about being intentional. You can still enjoy your home, your lifestyle, your experiences, and your aesthetic, but you do it with a plan, making sure your assets are growing first. That's how you build real, lasting wealth. Culture plays a huge role in shaping our financial decisions. The signals we get from family, friends, and media influence what we think is normal or desirable. But culture isn't destiny. You can choose which signals to follow and which to question. That's the beginning of financial independence. Every signal has a cost. The house, the lifestyle, the experiences, the aesthetic, they all require money. If you spend too much on the signal, there's less left for the substance. The key is to find a balance that lets you enjoy life now while also building for the future. The illusion of arrival is powerful. It feels good to look successful, to have the things that signal you've made it. But if the foundation isn't solid, that feeling is temporary. Real arrival is about having assets that work for you, not just things that look good from the outside. Social media has amplified the pressure to perform wealth. It's easier than ever to compare your life to others and feel like you're falling behind. But remember, what you see online is often just the highlight reel. Real wealth is usually quieter, built in the background, not broadcasted for likes. Building real wealth takes patience. It's not as exciting as a new car or a flashy trip, but it pays off in the long run. The people who escape the trap are willing to wait to let their assets grow before upgrading their lifestyle. Patience is a superpower in personal finance. Every financial decision is a choice. You can choose to follow the crowd or you can choose to build your own path. Conscious choices about spending, saving, and investing make all the difference. It's not about being perfect, but about being aware and intentional. One of the best ways to avoid the trap is to learn from others. Look at the stories of people in different generations. Notice the patterns, the mistakes, and the successes. Use their experiences to inform your own decisions. You don't have to repeat the same cycle. Diversifying your assets is key to financial security. Don't put everything into one basket, whether it's a house, lifestyle, or experiences. Spread your investments across different areas. That way, if one thing doesn't work out, you're not left with nothing. Compounding is one of the most powerful forces in finance. The earlier you start investing, the more your money can grow over time. Even small amounts add up if you give them enough time. That's why starting early and being consistent matters so much. It's hard to go against the grain when everyone around you is upgrading their lifestyle or posting about their latest trip, but resisting peer pressure is essential if you want to build real wealth. Remember, your goals are unique to you. Stay focused on what matters most. Financial education is more accessible than ever. Take advantage of resources, courses, and content to improve your knowledge. The more you know, the better decisions you can make. Education is a lifelong process and it pays dividends for years to come. Financial resilience means being able to handle setbacks without losing your footing. It comes from having savings, investments, and a plan. Life is unpredictable, but with resilience you can weather the storms and keep moving forward. Sometimes the simplest plans are the best. You don't need complicated strategies to build wealth. Consistent saving, smart investing, and living below your means go a long way. Simplicity makes it easier to stick with your plan over the long term. Don't wait until you're wealthy to celebrate progress. Every step forward counts. Paying off debt, increasing your savings rate, or making your first investment are all wins. Celebrate them and use that momentum to keep going. Comparing yourself to others can be dangerous. Everyone's journey is different, and what works for one person might not work for you. Focus on your own goals and progress. Comparison can distract you from what really matters. Take time to reflect on your financial journey. What signals have you followed? What traps have you fallen into? Honest reflection helps you see where you are and where you want to go. It's the first step toward making meaningful change. Once you're aware of the trap, set new goals for yourself. Decide what you want your financial future to look like. Make a plan to get there and take small steps every day. Goals give you direction and motivation. Share your goals with someone you trust. Accountability can help you stay on track, especially when it's tempting to follow the crowd. Find a friend, mentor, or community that supports your journey. You don't have to do it alone. Remember, building real wealth is a marathon, not a sprint. It takes time, consistency, and patience. There will be setbacks, but if you stick with your plan, you'll make progress. Trust the process and keep moving forward. Redefine what success means to you. It's not just about what you own or how you look to others. True success is about financial security, freedom, and peace of mind. Make choices that align with your values, not just society's signals. Your financial story is unique. You have the power to write the next chapter. Learn from the past, make conscious choices, and focus on building real wealth. The trap doesn't have to define you. You can break the cycle and create a future you're proud of. So, which version of the trap are you in right now? Is it the house, the lifestyle, the experiences, or the aesthetic? The first step out is to name it. Once you do, you can start making different choices. Remember, every generation faces this challenge, but you have the tools and awareness to break free. Your financial future is in your hands.